You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Okay, and we're back for part 2 of Master Your Marketing, a special series that I'm running this week. And if you didn't catch part 1 yet, then I recommend that you go back just one episode and listen into part 1 first, so that you can then join in here with part 2 and it will all make much more sense. I'm taking you behind the scenes on what it takes to have a thriving school hours business. And today's topic is how to nail your service offering to bring in more high value work with less effort. So please stay tuned for another cracking episode. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. How are you guys feeling after day 1? I know that there was a lot to think about. We've had some really great chat happening in the group. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you had some clarity? Are you still thinking you need to work through it and think about it a bit more? And that's totally okay if that's you, because whenever I've worked on niching with any clients, it's not something that happens in an instant. It's not something that happens in just one session. In Business Jam, we often deep dive on it for a good couple of weeks. We really nut it out because it's one of the most important keys. And when we get this bit right, everything else is so much easier and faster. It's so much clearer, and you really find much easier success with everything that you're doing, with whether it's your services, your pricing, how you're going to market, how you're going to sell. And often once you sort that niche out and you're clear, they start showing up. The ideal client, the people you want to work with and the work you want start showing up because you've got that clarity. You're not just there thinking, I want anyone. I just want any client to come in. Shannon says, I have my niche and know who I want to work with. So instead of posting on social media to get bigger engagement, I need to target my posts at who I want to work with. Yes, exactly. There's so much out there. I think that, we're being told we need to post all these times a day and look at your engagement metrics. And it's like, well, engagement's well and good, but who's engaging? Are they the people who you actually want to engage? Because if they're not, then it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything that someone's liking your post. If they're your friends, if they're your family, and they're not your clients, that engagement stat, it really doesn't mean anything. It might be, you might think, well, it shows people like my stuff. So maybe if a client is looking, there's that potential piece of social proof there. However, all that time and effort going into creating content, if it's not landing with the right people, then really that's a big amount of wasted time. So absolutely, getting this right makes all the difference. You'd rather have 100 ideal clients who are getting your content and are loving it than have 5,000 people who are not your clients who are just liking a piece of content you're putting out because, it's a nice meme or something fun or interesting, but it's not shifting them closer to the sale. And that's the major difference in what we're talking about here, is getting your strategy right so that everything that you're doing is helping to shift somebody another step along their journey towards being a client with you. Now, I'm not going to start going into that whole piece that we did in day 1. So if you haven't yet watched day 1, please make sure that you go back and watch it. If you're doing this on replay, then pause this video right now and go back to day 1 and watch day 1 first, because what we're going to cover today is building on what we did in day 1, and it'll make so much more sense if you've been through that masterclass first. And if you haven't registered yet, There is a workbook that goes along with this series, so you definitely want to get that and download it. So head to jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing to register for this series. It doesn't matter that we're already underway. You can still get in and get that workbook and participate in the rest of the series and get into our group, where you can obviously post some comments to me while we're doing these lives, and I can respond and answer your questions, so you can get even more value from the series. So I'm going to share my screen now so that you guys have got something nicer to look at than just my face, and we can get started. All right, here we are. So today, day 2, the title of day 2 is how to align your service stack and pricing so that we're bringing in more high-value 5-star clients with less effort. And yes, your service model is a key part of your marketing strategy, which is, I think, one piece I find is often disconnected with people. We really understand often about, our visual branding. We often understand about having an ideal customer. I think usually maybe they're not always connected as strongly as they could be. But the service piece is often something that's missed out of the marketing strategy, and it's not aligned and connected in. And that's what we're talking about today. So by the end of today's session, you're going to know how to align your services to convert and retain your 5-star clients, grow your profits, and all within school hours, because that's what I'm here for. This is not hustle hard mentality. I'm not going to tell you, you've got 24 hours in a day. How many of those are you using to run your business? And you shouldn't be sleeping or doing anything else, because that's not realistic. We want to be enjoying our life today, not building something for a life to enjoy sometime in the future. And it's absolutely possible to do that today. And that's really what I'm very, very passionate about. I work with women. We're usually mums. My clients are often just like me, mums, and we've got families. And we're doing this business because we want to spend more time with our families and also have a bit of time for ourselves, maybe your fur babies if you don't have kids, hobbies, the gym, all of that stuff. And it's not about let's burn ourselves out trying to build this business to make money so that you can have the lifestyle. It's like, actually, if you build the business so that you've got the lifestyle right from the beginning, then you've got a great foundation for growth, and you can scale it, and you can scale it in a way that's sustainable and that keeps that lifestyle, which is what we're going to talk about today. How does that service modeling actually give you that outcome? Because it's not about more. It's not about more volume. It's not about creating more admin burden, because that just puts you back in that place of the employee. Or working potentially even more than you did when you were an employee, which is not what we want to be doing, I'm assuming, if you're anything like me. So consistently attracting the high value clients means that you actually need less clients, and you'll have less clients to manage, which obviously is logical that creates less of an admin burden, less of that non-billable time that you're spending in your business. And it just makes your business feel lighter, easier, far more enjoyable, because you're working with the clients on the stuff that really lights you up, that you can get your teeth stuck into. And it's exciting and empowering, and not feeling like, you're back at the start of your career doing the jobs that you just had to do to make your way up. We all had to start somewhere, and we probably all can remember back in those days of having the job where you were the youngest in the team, and you probably got the fun things like doing some filing and doing all the stuff that no one else wanted to do. Well, now that you're the boss, you've got your own business, guess what? You can design it to give you whatever you want. If you love doing that, that's great. But I think we want to be maximizing our time for earning the revenue, which means working with your clients and doing that, the 5% activities at the top that are going to bring in the right people. So just to recap a little bit, why don't we have a school hours business yet? Well, we're not attracting high value 5-star clients. There's no consistency, and probably working too many hours and being underpaid. That's generally where I find most people are at. So let me know in the comments if that's you. Is it all three, A, B, and C? I haven't put A, B, and C here on the slide, but is it more A for you, B, C? Maybe we'll have option B, all of the above. Let me know what is the thing that's really you feel is holding you back right now. What most are doing, they're doing more marketing and scattering themselves absolutely everywhere. And this is not how we get that business. Looking for latest trends to gain popularity. So, in the last year or so, we've had Clubhouse. There's definitely been a big surge on TikTok. Reels emerged. There's always something new happening. And it's not about looking, that's the latest trend, I need to be doing it as well. Keep on adding and adding. When are you going to get more time back for you in your day? And I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm saying be really strategic about what you choose to do and choosing the activities that are actually going to help someone take that step along the journey so that you're bringing them closer and they've got a purpose. It's not just about having something and putting something out there, because if the people seeing it aren't the people you want to be seeing it, then it has no value. We also, I spoke briefly about the mistake I see a lot of service providers making, and it's generally because they don't have a marketing strategy, is, fishing for customers in Facebook groups, scrolling the groups. Yes, you can find clients that way. I'm not saying that you can't. Absolutely, you can, but that's a very time-consuming way to get clients. If you get your strategy right, then the right clients actually come to you without you doing anything. They find you and they reach out to you and say, can we book in a call? Hopefully you've already got that automated, which is what happens to me. So the first time I usually know that a client is wanting to work with me is they've booked a discovery call. They've done it all themselves. They've found me, they've found my calendar, they've booked in a time that suits them, and all I have to do is turn up on the call. And because I've been really clear about my niche, it also means that the people I'm speaking to are the right fit, and it's incredible just the difference that makes. Not wasting time on discovery calls of people who aren't the right fit and who would never buy. It's not good for them, it's not good for me. So when you get really clear and specific, you do attract the ones who are the right fit, and that's what we're looking to do. Well, relying on referrals, which is essentially, putting your whole lead generation in the hands of somebody else. You've got no control over your client attraction strategy, which means that we hear people talk about the feast and famine of referrals, and that's absolutely what happens, because you don't have any ability to control what comes in and when. You might suddenly get an influx and feel like you need to take them all, like my client Kelly yesterday, who I was speaking about, feeling like, well, I have to say yes to all of these, because what if no one else shows up in the next week or 2 weeks or next month? Whereas when you have control over your client attraction system, you can always have clients. You can have consistent clients because there's always someone there in the pipeline, and you know how to reach out and to book in new people when you have got a gap, when you've got a gap coming up. So you can be much more consistent and calm in your business, and you don't need to have those crazy, feast 1 month where you've got so much work you're hardly sleeping, and then the next month have nothing and be really stressing about it. That's no way, I think, to live, because you're not having a life one way or the other. DIYing the strategy, well, we all know where DIYing leads us is Googling, finding bits and pieces from different people, trying to mesh them together. And when you mash it together, you're getting something like, bubble and squeak. I think it's a bit like leftovers, which it's not your gourmet meal. It's not what's being put out on the plate by a chef where there's a recipe to it. It's just a bit of a mishmash. Or doing nothing. And yeah, some people are doing that. So if it's not working now, whatever it is that you're doing, then doing more isn't going to change the result. And that's why yesterday I spoke so much about the first piece of the puzzle. What thriving businesses have is their strategy aligned beneath the surface. And it's not just one thing. So we're sharing in this training about 5 pieces to your strategy that all connect together to create this outcome. So piece 1, which we went into, and I will talk briefly about some of the
things that you might be feeling about it in just a moment. So the easiest way to have a thriving school hours business, which is working around 20 hours a week, give or take, and whatever that means for you, if it's early morning, late evening, whenever you want to be working, but having that ability to not be tied to your desk for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, like you might have had in a full-time job. The easiest way to have this time flexible part-time business is to align your strategy so that we're attracting the high-paying 5-star clients. And that means that you're being able to earn more in less time. So just for a minute, let's have a think about how many clients do you really need? Because I love this question. It's so simple, and often it has such an enormous breakthrough with people when you think about it, because we're always sitting there thinking, well, I just need more. I don't have enough. I don't have enough revenue. I must need more clients. But this is what really shows you where you're at right now and whether it's viable what you're doing. So say your goal might be $10,000 a month. If you think about your primary service, and we'll talk a bit about what that might mean in your service offering in a few minutes. Pick out what you would love, what your main service offering is, what you would love to be selling. And if you were wanting to make $10,000 a month, how many of those would you need to sell to make it? Or replace 10,000 with whatever your goal is. If it's 20,000, if it's 30,000. I thought we'd start with 10 just so it's an easy number to comprehend in our minds. If you've got a $10,000 offering, then you only need one client per month. So your marketing strategy for one client per month will look totally different to a business who's got a really low priced commodity offer where it might be $100. They're going to need hundreds of people every month. So it's a very different approach to marketing. If you've got a $5,000 service, then you only need 2 clients per month. If it's a $2,500 service, you need 4 clients a month. Now, those numbers aren't big or scary at all. So you think, this is why when we dial in and actually think we have to get strategic about what it is that we're saying, we're not in the volume business. We're not in a product business where it's all about high volume, mass market reach. When you stop treating yourself like a commodity, then you're going to be able to attract in those clients that are right for you, and you don't need a high volume to be really successful and profitable. Bringing your strategy into alignment means that all the pieces of your marketing are actually functioning together to help you achieve your desired outcome. And that's what we get when we work on these pieces of strategy below the surface. It makes all of your marketing activities function and support each other and connect together to give you that outcome. But if we don't do that work, which most people haven't done, we're left with a business that feels like you've got lots of balls juggling in the air. You don't know which one's going to land. You're trying to keep them all up. It feels like a never-ending job just to be doing all this marketing, and the result isn't happening. And it's so frustrating. And I know what that's like. You know, I have definitely, in all of my years of marketing, 23 odd, must be up to year 24 now. You know, I've been there. We've done things that are really high maintenance and a lot of effort for very little result. But I've also figured out along the way that what does work is just has such incredible growth. A company I worked for when I joined they were a startup in IT. This was about 8 years ago or so, 9 years ago now. I joined right at the very beginning, and they could have taken a commodity approach to what they did, because pretty much every business in the whole world needs space to store their IT. However, that was going to be a really long, hard way to grow a business, and this company had some very aggressive growth goals. So what I did as the head of marketing was said, we have to get super specific about exactly who we're targeting. And we had a very, very, very niche strategy that was not to be that commodity, to actually be that premium service and the higher priced one. Now, this company, it grew in the thousands of percentages every year. It is now a multi-billion dollar company, and when I left, it was already a billion-dollar company, and it was only 6 years after it was established. It had incredible growth. And the reason why was because it was so clear what they did and for who. And they positioned themselves in that place to attract the premium customers, even though they were brand new into the market. That didn't matter. It's all in how you connect your marketing strategy. Now, when we've got that clarity, we're not just running on a treadmill, doing all this activity and thinking about the destination, not getting there. And we're not sitting there wondering, well, which way do I go? How am I going to get to the destination? Where is it? You're really clear on what that goal is that we're building with the business, and strategies like the path, the road that we've mapped out on how you're getting there. So every day you're getting so much closer. And you'll be drawing in the right clients towards you as that respected authority. As we spoke about on day one, the different levels of the entrepreneurial ladder and what you might be identifying as at the moment. And, we want to be this respected authority. And to be that, it means that we need to have that space, be known for something, have a unique value, so that your ideal clients are finding you, they're being drawn to you, and they're already wanting to work with you before they're even making contact. You're leading, I guess. It's the difference between being led by the market and taking the lead in what it is that you do. So, defining your niche, we spoke very quickly about, we went into this on day one. So your niche is not the definition of what you do, it is what you market. And this is what you are building your authority to be, that respected authority. It's finding what that sweet spot is and then communicating it. This is what raises you above the crowd. This is what helps you stand out and carves out a space in the market for you to play in. If you are, I guess what this means is when you are here and you have this sweet spot and you are the respected authority, you're able to say no to the work, the clients, the projects that aren't right for you, that aren't the things that you want to be doing. And you can say yes to the ones that are. You're really in the driving seat of your business, as opposed to being a passenger in the back seat and just being taken along for the ride and having to take whatever comes your way. Wanting to make a big shift into being in that driving spot. Just a story. So it's like Savannah. She's one of my beautiful clients. She is a brand and web designer. And when she first came to me, she had been in this place where she was basically a digital marketing consultant for businesses. And it wasn't specific. She wasn't specific about her what. It was, I'll do websites, I'll do marketing collateral, do all these types of things. And then she also wasn't specific about who she was working with. And while she'd had a network and a referral network, she'd been getting work, but it changed as everything changes. And when her referral network wasn't delivering, she really needed to change her strategy so that she could bring in her own clients and even know what she should be doing to market herself. Doing this work and actually even just initially getting her niche sorted, finding her sweet spot, which was the combination of a brand specialist, brand messaging specialist, and web designer. So bringing that brand message out through amazing web design and that content and experience online is what she niched down into for specific types of companies that she had a lot of experience working with and really understood their business. So her sweet spot she found. And as soon as she did that, she realized that she had existing clients that did not fit her ideal client. And she actually fired a couple of her clients, which she said to me, it felt incredible to fire a client. But as soon as she did, she had brand new prospects contact her who were the exact fit of who she wanted to work with. And so saying no to her high maintenance 2-star clients who were asking the world and doing all this uninspiring work, creating brochures that, and they were really difficult to work with. People didn't get back to her. There were projects just going on and on and on. She said as soon as she said no to that and got really clear, she attracted in the work that she wanted. She got fully booked out for months in advance. And she still was working on her service modeling, her pricing, and really trying to align that in. She hadn't even got all the pieces of her strategy all in place for it to be happening. So this change, it starts happening even as you take those first steps. And this is why I always start with step one being the niche, because when you get clear, then your clients, your prospects are clear as well. And it brings in the right people. With the JAM plan, number one, we spoke about yesterday, the niche, your specialization. Number two is services, service alignments. This is piece of the puzzle number two. Now, you might be thinking that you have some reservations on the whole niching piece, and it's very, very common to have those. So I thought we'd just take a minute or two just to address some of these questions, or what might we call it? Things that it might be running through your head. And these are the common ones that I find with people who I've worked with, what they're saying. What I do is too broad. So this one is super common. Does anybody feel like this is something that they've been thinking? Like when you go to try to figure out your niche, there's just so many different things that you could do. And I had this exact same problem myself. That's why I put it up there as number one. I think when you've come out of especially you've been in an employee, you've been in a profession, you've often built a lot of skills through your career, through your experience of working. You've got a lot of things that you can do. You've got a lot of knowledge and experience. And so that can actually make it really hard coming into business, thinking, okay, how do I mash all this together and create a service? Or what do I call it? Because I can do so many things. Does anybody feel like that is them? Is that resonating with you at all? And this is when the penny dropped for me was, it's not about everything that I can do. It's about what it is that I do best. What is my thing, my secret sauce, my special value that I can bring to my clients. And again, it's not about everybody or anybody who might need it, which is the who. But when we're looking at what we can do lots of things. If I wanted to make some money, I could make some lemonade and go and sell it down on the street corner, and I could make money doing that. So it's not about what you can do. This is about what is your real talent? What's your skill? And often it is a subset of what you think. Even you might have created your business and think that you niche down. It might be even a subset of that. So it's a great question to think about. Many of us have been there too. And, that's why when I created this niche framework inside Business Jam, it's not just about the who and the what, which is what a lot of people say when you're doing your niche, you need to define the who and the what and mash it together. That's why I brought in my third element, which is the why you. And when we combine all three, you do get a much more specific piece that allows you to create that space of your own. And this is what happened with Miranda, one of my Business Jam clients. She's a copywriter, very experienced one. She'd come out of corporate communications. She's done a lot of marketing and copywriting before, and she was doing copy for all sorts of businesses, website copy, awards copy, writing proposals, doing case studies, so many different things, because she could turn her hand to it and she can do it. But when you're trying to market your business and you've got this very broad and vague, I can write copy for you, it's very hard for someone to pick you as the right fit for them. So that's why we said that your niche isn't what you do, but it's what you want to attract. And when she had the confidence to really drill down into what she most loved doing and where she felt she could give the most value to her clients, that's when it became obvious to her what her niche really was. And once she did, it's reduced so much overwhelm. It made everything clearer and easier for her in her marketing. And she's cut out the stuff that she actually didn't like doing, because although it was work and you're being paid for it, if it's not lighting you up and it's not easy, it's taking you a lot longer to do than something that is exactly in your genius zone. Like, we all know that there are things that we can do. Like, I can do my accounts if I want to do my accounting. I do not love it. Finances are not the thing that I want to spend my day doing. So for me, it's like I'd rather stick pins in my eyes probably than sit down and do it. It's tedious, it's boring, and it takes me far longer than my bookkeeper who loves doing numbers. So it's the same thing when we're looking at even within your skill set and within your specialization, your profession, there are definitely going to be elements that you're more aligned to than others. And so what is it that's for you, that thing that's easy, that's fun, enjoyable, and that you're really, really good at? That's your secret sauce. That's where you're going to find your sweet spot. And Miranda, even with Business Jam, she increased her revenue just by defining that down with 170% within 2 months. And she's still been working on clarifying that, finding her services and creating the aligned service for her ideal customer further and further. And every time you come in and connect and get those pieces into alignment even more with what do you want to attract, then you see another jump and increase in your results and your revenue and in the type of clients who you're attracting. Another one that I hear a lot of time is, if I narrow down my services, I'll attract less clients. And this is very logical because you think, well, if I have less to offer, then there's less people who are going to be interested or who might come along. Do you think, does that sound like something that you are battling with at the moment or thinking about? And usually this is someone who's more of an established business, and you might have organically grown your service offering and grown your service list over time. One of my clients, Erica, she's been running her own agency for well over 10 years, digital agency. And when I first started working with her, her service list was incredibly long. There were so many services there. And, it was really overwhelming to look at. You thought, well, I don't know. There's so many different things there that they can do. It's really unclear exactly what it is that they do well. And when you're a discerning buyer, you don't always want something that's mediocre. You want to get someone who's going to deliver you the outcome you're looking for. We've all done, I'm sure we've had times that we've hired somebody with great expectations and thought, yeah, okay, they can do it, but it wasn't at the level that I was expecting. And that's what happens when someone's trying to sell something that they can do as opposed to something that they do really well. Now, I'm not saying that Erica's team wasn't delivering well on things, but when I quizzed her about her offerings, I said, well, are all of these profitable? What ones are you spending a lot of time on that aren't generating the revenue and profit that you really need? Because she had goals that she wasn't getting to, and she was completely maxed out with her capacity. So the first things that we need to look at is what's taking all your time and not adding to your bottom line. And as soon as we did that, it was really clear. There were services that she had. She's a digital agency, does a lot of web design and online marketing, but she was offering hosting services, and she was spending half of her time as a help desk to her clients, which was not paid, very low paid, because it was just a maintenance fee that was happening from the clients. But it was very high intensity in terms of high maintenance on her part, and having to suddenly stop something that you're doing to go and fight fires could mean that she was being taken away from the profitable work of actually designing new websites, building them, to be helping someone who's got a problem with their email. Now, that's a real great example of somebody that's where you've stepped out of your genius zone and you're not there in that space where you're aligned and doing the work that lights you up and that's profitable. And instead, you're busy over here doing all the stuff for some clients, but it's not what's going to help your business to scale up. It's actually just creating more burden and admin overload. So by cutting down and narrowing her service offering and really zeroing in on what she does best, she's able to completely change her business almost straight away. Niching down, she started to secure website design projects for the people exactly who she wanted to work with. And her agency earning $30,000 a month. That's what can happen when we stop spending all the time on on low value, low priced work that isn't what we really want to be doing. Somebody else can do it. You don't have to service your clients with absolutely everything that they need. The respected authority, they're not there saying, what do you need? I'll do everything for you. They're there leading, saying, this is what I do. This is what I do best. This is how much it costs to work with me. Oh, you need these other things? Great. Let me refer you on to people who might be able to help you with that. Now, what a different conversation that is. You don't have to be everything to everybody. Another one of my, another thing that I hear, and I hear this a lot because I work with women who have lots of skills and who love working with people and love helping people. And it's fantastic. We do, I do love that as well. And so they say to me, I love variety. I don't want to be stuck in a box. I don't want to, back myself into a box with this niche where I've got no freedom and I can't do other things, because I love the variety of work. And I guess my question to you is, yes, completely. And do you think that even if you niche down, that it's going to be the exact same thing every day? Because every client and every business is different. They're different people. They've got different things that you're doing. So even if you've niched down into a particular service offering, and yes, it does make a lot of sense to narrow down so that you can have less systems and process it so you can reduce the amount of time that you're spending. But what you're going to be doing, the people you're working with are going to be different. We're not cookie cutters. And so I feel like that this thought, when we think about who we're working with, there's still going to be so much variety in your day, but you're also going to have so much more ability to bring in exactly who you want to work with once you have defined that niche. I love to give a little example, and I came up with it. I think it's kind of funny because I get people to think about if they owned a nail salon and you do pedicures. Now, every person walking past on the street has feet, so everyone is potentially a client. And you might think, I love variety. I want everybody, I want to work with everybody or anybody who needs my service. Well, imagine the people walking past that shop and think there's some women who probably take care of themselves and are well-groomed, and them coming in to have a pedicure done might be lovely. It might feel great. You're going to enjoy it. They're going to enjoy it. But then there's the man who doesn't look after his feet. He's got really gnarly toenails and he's got cracked heels. He comes in and he wants a pedicure because that's what you offer and you work with anybody. Now, is that going to be something enjoyable and lighting you up, or would you rather be attracting in the women who look after themselves and, want that little piece of pampering? Now, I know if I was a nail salon technician or whatever they call themselves, I would be wanting to work with certainly women who have nicely maintained feet and not be attracting in anybody who might need my service. And that's what I want you to think about as well with your business is, are you being that person who's saying, yes, I'll work with the gnarly feet, even though you're not going to enjoy it? Or are you taking the lead and saying, I know who I want to work with and I'm going to attract them? Sally was one of the people who joined Business Jam at the start of last year, and she was previously allowing anybody who was dependent on referrals. So she was sitting back and letting the market come to her. She wasn't had no way of generating her own clients. And because of that, she was also pricing low. It's all everything's connected in there. So when you're at the mercy of the market and you don't have the lead on your own client attraction, then you also often feel like you're in a price competitive space and you've got to compete on price. When she got clear and decided who she wanted to work with, she also could align her service offering to it. She raised her prices just by 33% at the beginning, which is a small jump when often we're looking at people doubling their prices once they've aligned who their 5-star client is and how they'll attract them in with their prices. She increased it by 33%, but that extra revenue meant that she was then paying herself a salary that felt really abundant, and it changed her whole perspective on her business. Instead of feeling like she had to take whatever came along, she was able to go out there and decide on what clients she would work with. So now what if somebody I could help doesn't buy because they're not my ICA, they're not my ideal customer avatar? I hear that one as well. And the thing is, we're not the same. As I said before, we're not cookie cutters. So just think about when somebody sees what you do and what you offer and it's well defined, there will be people who really relate to it very, very strongly. And then there's going to be shades of grey going out. I say that I work with women, and I'm very in the forefront of my messaging, my website, everything about my business. Yet I still have men who contact me and ask about coaching. So when you think about that, you think, well, even if you are clear in who you're wanting to attract, you're still going to have a choice of who you work with, because you are going to get people who are varying shades of grey going out who will still make contact with you, especially if they resonate with the outcome that you provide and what it is that you do, even if they're not seeing themselves as your ideal client. So getting specific on the what and the outcomes in your niche actually will draw even more people to you, even if they're not a fit for your ideal customer. I had an example as well, because this is something Hannah had said that she really struggled with when she joined Business Jam, and she joined in the middle of last year. She'd been working on her niching for 3 years, and she felt like she needed to be able to service anyone who needed her. And if she defined an ideal customer, it would mean that some people wouldn't buy from her. But now that she knows that she's not really excluding anybody, because they'll still come, but that she's now in the driver's seat and she can choose who she works with, she has that ability to work with the people who she can get the best results for. And when we're in a service-based business, working with the clients who we're the best fit for means that they're going to get the best results, which means that you're getting the best results as well. And when your clients are getting the best results, that means that you're going to be able to attract more of them, because your client success stories are going to resonate with your prospects, and they'll be seeing themselves in those and thinking, oh, it worked for her, I want that too. And that's why it's so powerful to have a really well-defined ideal customer and niche, because what you share in your stories will resonate even more with the right people. There's just one or two more. So what if they don't buy because I'm too expensive? Oh my goodness. Imagine that. Yes, that is a very, very real fear. And I've put a logo here on the screen. I'm wondering if anybody knows what that logo is. And anyone who's listening on audio, it's a very well-known luxury brand. Now, when you think about if price was the only reason why people would buy or not buy, then why is there businesses such as Prada, Rolls-Royce, Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, any of those premium brands, Tesla even, if it was about price, then they wouldn't have any clients, would they? People don't buy because a price is the cheapest. And if they're saying that, if that's what you're thinking, then that's because the messaging isn't landing. We haven't been able to communicate value and outcome through messaging. And so what people revert to in that case is looking at price and comparing price. But if you've done a really good job in your messaging, and the way that you can do that is when you are really clear on who you're talking to, what they want, what they need, and you're aligning your value to them, then it's not a price-based discussion. There is always going to be a budget, and there's always going to be people who may not be able to afford what it is that you offer, but that's okay, because they're not your ideal client. You haven't created this for them. You've created it for the people who do have the money. And yes, they do, and people do buy these very premium products. What's the difference in a Gucci handbag versus a handbag that's made of the exact same materials, maybe in the same factory and without the brand on it? Well, there's nothing actually different in the handbag itself, but someone who's got the branding of it will pay 10 times, 20, 50 times more for that same item because of the perceived value and quality. Now, with your services, it's the same thing, but it's about actually defining and dialing into your value. I'm not saying don't give value, but just brand it like it does. It's not about that. And what I help you do is to define your value and actually bring it out and communicate it so people know what they're buying. They're like, wow, this is incredible and it's exactly what I need. And yes, they're always willing to pay for that quality. I'm reading some of the comments before. Melissa says, I don't like this example because I have a thing against feet. It just made me laugh. Absolutely. I think I have a thing against disgusting feet as well, which is why I use that example, because I think, there are people we really don't want to attract. You want to repel some people. And by repelling those and drawing in the ones that we want to work with, what a much more enjoyable business we'll have, right? Now, both of these clients here, Georgina and Alexandra, they both had previously, before they did Business Jam, they'd been struggling with a price competitive market, and they thought that was how they had to compete. Georgina had been undercutting her prices and selling based on price, saying, well, this is what I offer and this is the price. And she had thought that people were just comparing based on their price. Going through this process and realizing what it was that she actually had to offer and what the outcomes were she could get for her clients meant that she could move away from a price-based discussion, change her offering completely, and really move it into a new place within the market. So she went from low-paid offers that were around $100 to being able to sell four-figure packages. And that was really just a shift in her positioning and aligning her service offering to her ideal client so that it was a really good fit. And the same thing happened with Alexandra. The service she came up with was something that hadn't even been done in her industry before. And her industry is extremely price-based. It's very commoditized. And, the realization for her was, when we did the numbers, was she would never get to her goal if she just continued to operate in the same way that people had been operating in her industry and pricing based on their minutes and hours. And treating themselves like a commodity, like, pick me out of this catalog. I'm just one of many. And when we could create her unique value and a service offering that spoke to it and spoke to her ideal clients, then that changed everything. She can work with only 4 clients in a year, which is what she wants. She only wants a very low number, but high value contracts and offerings. And all within 10 hours a week. She has just absolutely nailed that school hours business for her. Now, the last one is people thinking, I need more clients before I can specialize. And I guess I've got a couple of questions. So how do you know when you've got enough experience to then be a specialist? And who says that you don't have that experience already? Now, saying that I need more clients before I can specialize is kind of like saying, well, I need to lose weight before I can go to the gym. The gym is the thing that's going to help you lose the weight, and specializing is the thing that's going to help you to get more clients. So you can do it the long, hard way and find it out by not specializing and by trying to be everything to everyone. But that's putting you back at that freelancer space, back in the commodity zone. Whereas when you can specialize and be unique, create that authority in your space, then that's where you get that fast growth. That's where you can have growth that you really didn't even think was possible. Alexandra, who I just mentioned before, she has taken her business in 1 year. She got in touch with me in December and told me the story that she hadn't said before, but she'd set a 5-year savings goal at the start of last year with her husband because they wanted to buy a house, and they knew that they needed to save a deposit and a decent deposit to buy their dream home. They set a 5-year savings goal. She's just secured one client that's going to smash half of that goal. And obviously she's already had her whole year where she grew 300% within just 3 months. She'd made her entire previous year's revenue in the next 3 months. She's well on the way to smashing their joint savings goal herself, and all within about the space of a year. It is absolutely astronomical, and she can't even believe it. She just said she didn't even think that anything like that would be possible. She did work. She did work to define her niche and get really clear, and she did the work to align her service offering. And so it's not about giving you less opportunity. It's making your business clearer and helping you stand out so that you are no-brainer, the obvious choice for the right clients. You're the respected authority. So we're getting into the service alignment piece, because now you're probably thinking, okay, I'm not afraid to niche anymore. I can see how specialization is going to help me to attract the right clients. So the next piece of the puzzle is actually having the service offering that will convert them and attract them in, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes people have a really well-defined niche, but then the service offering isn't aligned to what they want, to that ideal customer and to the outcome that they're looking for. And so that's where the whole process can break down and be preventing you from converting them and from booking those clients. A lot of people think that to grow profit, you just need more clients and therefore you need more services. And this is where we see the service stack expanding sideways, where we create more different offerings to try to entice more clients in. But more services doesn't equal more profit. It actually means you need more resources. You need more team members in order to support the business. You need more systems and processes, because every different service offering needs its own support. It needs onboarding processes, your client management systems, how you onboard and offboard, all that communication. It all has to be created every time. And if this is what your business is like at the moment, then this is a reason why you might be really busy and working hard, but not at that profit level that you want to be at yet. It takes time. The more services that you have adds more time. Your clients will have different needs, different messaging, different offers. It's different everything. And so what you're seeing is that highly customizing your service offering means that you've got more time spent on administration, pricing discussions, negotiations, complicated systems and management. And then that's more overheads and costs to run, which is what keeps you stuck at that freelancer level, consultant level. And when we were looking at that, the stack, the identity stack of the entrepreneur, when you're letting the market come to you and tell you what they want, and you're trying to create your service to meet their needs, that is the customization. That's where you're not taking the lead on what it is. And this is where you spend potentially a lot of time, creating proposals that then people don't respond to. Well, what a lot of wasted time is going into that. When you can streamline your offering, narrow it down and really lean into what you want to be doing most, that's when we can get scalability and profit. More services, they don't equal more profit. The businesses with the highest profits that you might see out there, think about how many services you see them offering. And usually, if it's a traditional style of business, what we've grown up with, they might have gone with the spread of services. Think about businesses that we might have worked for in the past. They might have had lots of offerings, but how much is happening behind the scenes to make that happen? You've got teams of people, processes. I worked for a big global bank, and I just shudder to think of all of the different brands and services that they had and how much was involved in actually just running that business because of it. Now, you can create a business like that, but what I'm saying today is that if you want a school hours business, you want something that feels light and easy and fun to do, and it's profitable, then that's not the style of business that's going to get you there. The style of business that'll get you there is one that's lean with less offerings, but that you've got a really profitable offering that you can scale up without adding more resource for every client that you bring in. So we want to be looking at customer lifetime value and scalability. So what does that actually look like? Well, structuring your services into a single model. So I'm not saying you just have one service. You will have layers of a service, but when you think about how they connect and combine as the services into one style of offering, it gives your clients more clarity on what your offering is, but it also gives you layers of different ways that you can service them, which means that you can bring people in and you can retain them. Because when they've come in through one offering, you can have other ones that they might scale up to or down to. And this creates flow within your business. So higher retention means that you need to do less marketing. It obviously lowers the cost of marketing. And clients who've already engaged with you, already bought from you, are your low-hanging fruit. That's where you're going to gain a lot more for your business than if you're always just focusing on trying to bring in new. And that's that real, when people are doing a lot of the hustle mentality, they're focused on new, more, new. And they're forgetting that, well, once you've got them, what are you doing then? How can you leverage that? And you can leverage that by having defining your customer journey with your service offerings. So having a defined offering that helps people to move within your business once they're in. I've got here an example, which is essentially my business model and how my service offerings work together. Now, I didn't create all this in one go. I started with two. I started at the top and at the bottom, and I worked my way into the middle. So, your one-to-one offering might end up being something that's your absolute premium offering. Now, you might have different ways that you want to look at your offerings and your services. You might not be wanting to do, a course or having group programs, and you don't have to. Even with one-to-one offerings, there are ways that you can look at having a scalable model like this, where you've got some lower priced offering at the beginning that could help people come in to your higher priced one. Or you've got a next step for people to go after they've already done that big meaty project with you. So what is the ongoing piece that happens after that? Is this making sense? And am I being clear? Because I don't want to rush through it too quickly if you've got questions on it. Now, within your workbook, there is a little piece of homework for you, which I thought might help you to make a start, the first steps on your aligned service model for your ideal customer. So if you think of your main service offering, then think of what might be a pre-service or a post-service. So think about what would be one step either before it or after it. And do you have that? So with what you're offering at the moment, is there any connection between them, or are they just separate services? And if we were to create connection, then what is the primary one you want to be selling? And what would be your pre-service, or choose a post one? Let's see if we can make at least one connection between your offerings so that you've got a flow. You've got a way that you're bringing people into your business or extending them once they're there. Checking if anybody's got any questions. So please shout out with questions as we go. I love to give you some on-the-spot advice or coaching on the way as we're talking through this. Now, Sally, this was, I think, one of the things that she found an absolute breakthrough for her when she did Business Jam, was really understanding how she fits a low-cost offer into her business, because she had been doing it, but she had been thinking about each thing separately. And when we brought her low-cost offering into alignment with what she really wanted, it all became so much easier because there was flow within her business. So she had a way to convert people from her low-cost offer into her high-cost offer. And she also knew who she wanted to be getting into her low-cost offer. So this is why when I'm talking about getting the pieces of your strategy aligned and connected, is what it's creating that flow. It's what's creating bigger profits and just a better ease of doing business. It's so much easier for you. Sales are easier because you've got the right people coming in. You're not just thinking, well, who can I get to buy this service? I've created a service, now who will I buy it? Who will I get to buy it? When you know who you're wanting to attract in, because you've got that journey lined out of where you want them to go next, then you're attracting in the right people into that first step. who then are going to come on and convert to the next step. Now, of course, not everybody will. And that's why when we look at the model of your business, drawing it as a triangle makes a lot of sense, because you're going to have people who come in and might consume your free content and never go anywhere else. And that's fine. But you will have people who come in and who might stay in that free layer for a while until they're ready. And this is your job in thinking about, how do I shift them from between the layers and move them to where I want them to be? And that's coming down to the clarity in your offer and your messaging, assuming that you've got those right people in at that free level. So the capacity, this is where we get, I'm calling it the capacity conundrum of the one-to-one. When it's just you, you've got a finite number of hours, which means you've got a finite capacity. And when you add other team members, it really just expands that ring to be a slightly bigger piece of pie. There's still a finite, you've still got a limit, because it's the number of hours that you're spending with a client. So when we're doing one-to-one, and what I see a lot of people doing with their pricing based on hourly rate. And that's what's keeping you at a capacity with a capacity ceiling. Whereas when you can have a diversified service model, you've got the ability to scale, and you can actually start getting scale even with one-to-one. When we shift your pricing from a one-to-one hourly rate into value-based packages. And that's what I share with you in Business Jam. There's a lot that goes into thinking how this works and designing that to work for your business. But this is how we get a business that doesn't have a ceiling, where you can increase, if you do increase your team, you're actually just increasing the volume of what you can earn, and there is no ceiling on it. And your resource overheads should still be low. Might increase a little bit, but they're not going to increase at the same amount as when we're charging by the hour. Then to earn more, you've got to be able to have more hours. So it means that every hour additional, you need to input another hour to get there. And that's why when I find if people have got just that model in their business, when they're trying to grow and expand, they bring more people in to service more clients. Then they're paying those people to deliver it. So the actual amount of revenue and profit potential is diminishing, as opposed to when we can restructure the services to be more focused on scalability and profit growth and value. Then you can keep your cost base low and have much more increasing profit. Now, do you see how that works, and are there any questions? Is that making sense to you? Please let me know in the comments. An example of how this works was with Melissa, and by changing her service offering to connect to the ideal client that she realized that she hadn't actually been targeting and hadn't designed her offering to suit their needs. By making that adjustment to her service offering, her prices increased a huge amount. There's a 500% difference in profit, on pretty much the exact same input. She didn't change any of the service itself and what she was doing, but by changing who she was targeting, how it was being put together, and what her messaging was, what the outcome was that she'd deliver for it, then that was able to shift, a $12,000 increase per project. Now, that is a huge increase when you think about that in multiple projects. That was just one client earning an extra $12,000 on exactly the same work that she had been doing before. Charlene says, yes, free content advice and answer specific questions from a survey. Masterclass on a specific area, a digital course, and either a pre-recorded or perhaps 3-day intensive, and moving into one-to-one. Is that what you're referring to? Yes, exactly. So, I think that we don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to have, you might have 2 or 3 layers in your business. It's up to you. And you can, as you grow, you might find that there's obvious levels that you want to maybe insert in between your levels. But at the top of the triangle, we're looking at your premium offering, the high ticket one-to-one. And at the bottom, we're looking at your free volume-based content that's going out to many. And so thinking about what is maybe a first step that someone might take to come into the business. Is there a really low-cost offering that you can have that's often something that you might already have for your one-to-one clients, but you could offer it as just one piece of the puzzle, which you've already created, which then means that you've got an offer that can be for more people. And by thinking about it like that, it means that you've not just got this one big premium offering that you're trying to get people into, but you'll have you've got a stepped approach. So that's making sense. And Tamsin says, yes, the service flow is so important to understand. That's great. Thanks. And that's making sense. And another example, this is exactly what I was just meaning with having a really big premium offering, was Tanya. She joined Business Jam. She's a culture consultant and generally works with quite large businesses on their company culture. So you can imagine that these consultancy contracts and her offering for that are big pieces of work, big chunks, and very high level. So when you have things like that, you're generally working with one client at a time. And in doing this work in Business Jam, she realized that if she just had these great big chunks, then they were like islands. It was like an island, there was a piece of work, and then there might be a gap as she's getting another client. But what she wanted to have was to have the island, but also to have a river running along beneath it, or the stream going past it. So she created some digital offerings that were really great tasters and first steps and a way into her business for potential prospects who then she could pick and choose the very few that she'd work with on that one-to-one basis, because she doesn't want to work with everyone. She didn't want a lot of clients when you're talking these huge, big contracts. But by creating that other stream, then she's got a consistent flow of smaller, dollars coming in, or smaller per person. But obviously that's a stream that's coming in that has a lot of scalability. She can grow that as much as she wants, because it's not taking away from the time that she's spending with the one-to-one clients. So having that structured with looking at her capacity and what she had, bringing in an element of keeping a digital product offering happening meant that she was able to sell that as many times over without more effort going into it. So that's where it works really well as a service model, because you're not just stuck in this. Again, it's a bit like the feast and famine, but even if you have your own client attraction system, you might still be like that if you've just got these big high ticket offerings. Having that balance between the two and having a flow between them meant that everything that she was doing was leveraged for her business. So she's attracting people into the low priced offering, but from there, she's able to convert and bring out the few that wanted to do these high ticket projects with her. And it gave her the ability to scale. And now we know about the specialization, and I'm hoping that you're clear on what service alignment means and how, by aligning your service to your ideal customer and creating that aligned model between your services, means that you've got the ability to scale and grow profit without growing your hours. Being really clear on what you can offer and bring in. It's about getting strategic with your service offering. And yes, it does come into the numbers. There's a bit of work to do on fine-tuning it, but there's a model that I have where you can plug the numbers in and you can see what would happen if you increase one service by X amount of clients. What does that do to your bottom line? And you can see how the impact would change and what you can do within your capacity. Because if you only want to work 20 hours a week, then they've got to be really good 20 hours that you're working. Now you might be thinking, how do I price my services for better profit and still be able to sell them? Yes, there's a lot around pricing strategy. I just touched on it slightly today in terms of shifting from one-to-one to packages. And you might be thinking, well, how do I build a package? And yes, that is a really good question to have. How do I get in front of the 5-star clients I really want? How would I position myself to be at the level for the 5-star clients? Yes, exactly. That is exactly what we need to be doing. How do I increase sales without doing the time-consuming promotion that is so commonly pushed out there? And how do I reduce non-billable time? So all of this is what we're going to be talking about in day 3 of this series. Day 3, I'm sharing the next 3 pieces of the recipe, of the puzzles, of the jam plan framework there. So we've covered number 1, which was your niche, your specialization. Number 2, which is your service offering and how you align that to your ideal customer. Now, the next 3 pieces of the puzzle are all also required to get this business working so that you can attract those people in and sell them those services and get them coming back. So we will be touching on the next 3 pieces in Friday's session. So Friday, if you're here in Australia with me, if you are in the States, it'll be your Thursday night. And I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure you come along and learn what the next 3 pieces are and why they are important parts of the puzzle. As I said before, I've had clients starting to get results even by when they nail the first piece. And definitely each time you get one of these pieces into alignment, you'll see results happening and you'll see a big shift. But getting to that end result that we really want, where the business is bringing in the right people and it is working within those hours and feeling streamlined and easy, then all 5 pieces are required to be there and present and connected. So I can't wait to share that with you. I'm really excited about it. Does anybody have any questions from today's session before we hang up the phone or before I give my voice a break? Starting to feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. You're probably sick of hearing my voice. But I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Drop them in the comments. Otherwise, we will be seeing you on Friday for day 3. You're going to walk away with that complete recipe. So all 5 pieces of the recipe to have your part-time school hours business where you can be maximizing profits and not wasting your time on, time-consuming marketing methods that aren't resulting in what you want, which is the right clients and clients where you can be profitable. We all know if we've got limited hours, we need to earn as much as we can in the hours that we're working. So it's not about being the low-cost leader. It's not about being the Kmart or the Walmart of your industry. It is about bringing in the right clients at the level that you want so that you can earn the revenue that you want to earn for your business. And it's completely possible. It's just about getting the pieces of your strategy aligned to give you that outcome, positioning yourself for the right clients. So Charlene is saying, thanks, very informative. That's great. And Tamsin has asked, will I do a coaching thread? Absolutely, yes. If you're in our pop-up Facebook group, Master Your Marketing, I'm going to open up a coaching thread for today's content so that you can ask more questions and I can answer them specifically. I know I've gone through a lot in a short amount of time, so it may, the question might come to you a little bit later as you're thinking about it. So please do drop in the group and ask a question. I will be hanging out in there today, tomorrow, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and help you with that. And Melissa says, yay, let's all be the Chanels of the world. Yeah, I'm more than happy to let somebody else be the Bunnings or the $2 shop version, and that's fine. They can do that. That's not something that I'm interested in, because I want to have a life where I've got lots of time for my kids and for myself and to be doing all the things that I enjoy. That's why I'm here in my business, and that's what I help my clients do as well. And I want to help you guys to also be operating at the level where you've got so much value to bring. And I'm sure every person here on this call, you've got a profession, you've got experience in it, you've got a lot to offer and a lot of value to offer. And so let's stop thinking of ourselves as someone that's got to work their way up from the beginning again. Well, you did that once already. You've got a lot to offer. And it's really about getting clear on what that value is and and leading with it and actually creating the business to highlight that value and bring in the right clients so that you can be earning what you're absolutely worth. Charlene's just commented on the rainbow on my wall behind me. That's my daughter. She draws me beautiful pictures every day. She just turned 5. She's my little rainbow child, and she's also this business and her are very connected because I started it when I was in hospital after having her, and it was her that made me so determined to not feel like I had to be stuck to the corporate office job, where I was really, even though I had an executive level job, I had everything on paper. The head of the department, I was reporting to the CEO. I had everything that I thought I wanted, yet it was really unfulfilling, and also it wasn't giving me the life that I wanted with my family. So she always has a special symbolic meaning to me because she's like my business baby. When she was born, my business was born as well. And seeing her just turn 5, it's a big milestone for her and for me as well. And I love her rainbows. They light up my day. So they're on the wall of my office. So thank you, Charlene. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time. And thank you for joining me live or on replay. You guys are amazing. Really can't wait to share the next 3 pieces with you on Friday. So that is going to be a really fun session. And I'll look forward to chatting with you then. And I'll see you in the group. Bye for now.
Join me for my free 3-part live series. It's called Master Your Marketing, and you'll discover the 5 ingredients to aligning your message and your offering around your unique value so that you're working with 5-star clients, attracting them easily, growing profits, and ultimately enjoying real flexibility in your life to spend time doing whatever matters most to you. Head over to jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing to register now and make sure that you don't miss out on this live series. I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait to bring it to you. When I ran this last year, I had people saying comments like, wow, light bulbs are going off. I love this. And, you've given me so much to think about. So you don't want to miss this. Master Your Marketing is starting on the week of 20th of February. So mark your calendars right now and make sure you register. The place to register again is jessicaosborne.com/masteryourmarketing. And get in there and register. Even if it's already started, you can still register. You can still get access to the replays, to the workbook, and get involved in the whole series. It's happening for the whole week and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you've got it in your calendar. Mark it right now. 20th of February, that's the Sunday, so the week of is when this live series is running. And I really can't wait to get involved with you. It's going to be interactive. There'll be lots of fun. So come and join me online and let's master your marketing this year.